Let me ask you a riddle. What is the one mitzvah in the Torah that one cannot do tshuva for? He did it, that's it, no more tshuva. Can it be such a thing?
Detail, like let's say someone has a mamzer? What do you mean?
The Gemara says, but who says the person who did it can't do tshuva? The mamzer can never revert to becoming non-mamzer. But the person who did it can do tshuva. Why not? The result of his action cannot be changed. But who says he can't do tshuva? Avada he can't do tshuva, and he has to do tshuva. But for what mitzvah, or correct, Aveira, one cannot do tshuva. Can there be such a thing? Did you ever such a thing? No tshuva? We were taught tshuva is good for everything. At the time of the Rogachover, they just started having cars in the streets. At the time of the Yosameach, Rogachover, 100 years ago. So when he would cross the street, he would walk with a gabbai, and he would look to the right, look to the left, and look to the right, and look to the left. Imagine back then, how many cars were already driving in the streets? 2 cars a day. So the gabbai says, Rebbe, we can cross, there's no cars here. Why are you looking right, left, right, left? So the Rogachover says to him, there's a mitzvah in the Torah called Venishmartem meoid lenafshoseichem. Watch yourselves exceedingly. It's the only mitzvah that if you don't do it, you can't do tshuva. Because if I'm not venishmartem, if I'm not going to wash myself, tomorrow I won't be here to do tshuva. Mimele, the only thing that you can't do tshuva for is if you don't do venishmartem, because you won't be around tomorrow to do tshuva. B'med dvorim amurim. What are we talking about? The Pele Yoetz in Erech called Shmira says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu in his Torah wrote twice the word meoid. We don't find it in other mitzvahs. It doesn't say, put tefillin meoid. Watch, keep the Shabbos, meoid. It doesn't say that. V'nishmartem meoid lenafshei sechem, and then the pasuk repeats itself later. Rak yishamer lecha ushmor nafshecha meoid. Apparently, it's very important to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we do this shmira business and watch ourselves exceedingly. Why? Why is it so important? First of all, Chazal say that if you don't watch yourself and you're walking into a makom of sakana, who says they're going to do a miracle for you? And if they do, menakin lo mizchu yosef, they deduct some of your schusim. It's not worth it. He even says an amazing perush. It's a Gemara, famous Gemara in Brochus Lamed Beis, where the Gemara says that one of the tzaddikim was standing in davening, and suddenly a minister came to him. He says, Shalom Aleichem! He's in the middle of davening, doesn't answer anyone. So the minister, instead of decapitating him, stood and waited. When he was finally finished, the Shmoneh Esrei, 20 minutes later, he says, I could have chopped your head off. Why didn't you answer me? He says, what do you mean, why didn't I answer you? I was talking to a king. Tell me, when you talk to a king, and your best friend comes over and says hello, would you answer? He says, no. I was talking to the king of all kings. For whatever reason, the minister liked it. V'niftar oisoy chasid lebeisoy. And this chasid went back home. That's what the Gemara says. We normally understand, first of all, who says he bichlal can do it? The Magen Avraham asks in Shulchan Aruch Chaim Siman Kuf Daled, and who gave him permission? This is one of the 3 Averos Chamuros. Say hello. If you think the guy is going to slash your throat, say hello. So Magen Avraham says we have to say that he knew this minister, that he's a decent person. If he'll explain to him, he'll accept it. And the Maisa, that's what happened. However, comes the Pele Yoetz, and he says, and I saw in the Mefarshim that when the Gemara says, V'niftar oiso chasid lebeisoy, it doesn't mean and he was exempt and he left back home. V'niftar lebeis oilamo, he died. Why? Because he transgressed this tzivui of HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'nishmartem, and he didn't. And that is a tremendous chiddush. Comes out, he says, that if one transgresses v'nishmartem, he does 2 for the price of 1. First of all, he didn't listen to what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, v'nishmartem, and second of all, they deduct from his chusim So it's as if he takes a precious stone, a gem, a jewel, a diamond, and he switches it for something shve puta. But why is it that one has to wash himself? Says the Peleyoetz. You like your phone, you like your car, you like whatever items you have, and you take care of them because you want them to serve you well. You belong to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and in order to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu well, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to take care of His vessel, which is called you. In order to be able to be Meshares HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have to watch your body. That's what he explained. Why am I starting with this Akdama? Because I think that in the last year and a half, they gave us a chance to work on Venishmatim from up above, and I'm not so sure that we excelled in this mitzvah. We had all kinds of different opportunities. I'm not talking about, COVID. Do you remember? There was once a pandemic here. But in Eretz Yisrael, Baruch Hashem, it's completely wiped out. And here it's going away. There was a terrible tragedy in Meron, and there were so many incidents. But one of the incidents, terrible thing that happened about 2 months ago, I'm sure you heard of it. A girl, 19-year-old, goes to eat in a restaurant in Rosh Pina. Kosher place. Fleishik place. She eats, and then she asks, can I have dessert? I'd like to have ice cream. I said, sure. They give her ice cream. What kind of an ice cream? Fleishik place. What do you expect? A normal parv ice cream? It wasn't so parv. Milchiks. She wasn't aware that she's going to have some kind of a milchik something in a fleishik restaurant. Nobody expected her to have a major lactose intolerant, major. She started feeling not so good after a few minutes. Rushed to the hospital. 20 minutes later, she wasn't around anymore. She died. You heard of it here, right? You didn't hear it?
I didn't hear the story.
Now, since she went to a fleishika restaurant, she didn't think I have to take the EpiPen with me. Well, where am I going? I'm not going to a pizza place. Mimele, it's a very strange thing. It's a very rare thing. Many people have lactose intolerance. Many people. But to that degree, you can actually die from it. It's very strange. Very rare. But that's what happened. Fine. Regular kashrus. The question is, the owner of the restaurant did a terrible thing. No question. So he explained, no more desserts in the restaurant. So I sent my worker, go get some ice cream. And he went, he wasn't careful. He took ice cream. He wasn't looking. And he bought milchik's ice cream. Question is, Avade, he did something terrible, and she's not the only one who ate milchik after fleishik. It's clear, many people had it. But is he responsible for her death? Is he responsible, or will say, wait a second, this is a complete oinus. Who can think that somebody will die as a result of eating milk after, who would think like that? Nobody dies from lactose intolerance, most people that we know. Is he responsible? And if he's responsible, the nafka mina is, maybe we'll tell him, let's say she's married and she has some kids, you have to sponsor the kids. You have to do tshuva for the fact that you killed her. Not for feeding her milk after flesh. That's clear that he did wrong. Fine, he's responsible. He's the restaurant owner. Is he responsible for her death? What do you say?
Is it milsa lo shchicha? Do we say
very low shchicha. Very.
Or do we say that once he's b'sheya,
Yeah.
so then you have all the pshiyas that come afterwards.
Who told you this? You have a source?
There's a source.
What's the source?
It's
Who says?
Chalasa b'shiyah b'sayim v'aynis.
No. Are you responsible for that?
Gemara says this.
Are you responsible for that?
I'm not holding this.
Shulchan Aruch writes, Yoredei Simen Kuf, Yud Tes Seif Tes Vav. One who sells dvarim ma'asurim, meshamsin oisei. We put him in idui. You heard the Maaseh? You heard the Maaseh?
Say it again.
A girl goes, a 19-year-old girl, 2 months ago, went in Rosh Pina, in Eretz Yisrael, to a restaurant. A girl went to a fleishika restaurant in Rosh Pina, and she ate and had a great time. And then she asked for dessert.
Yeah.
You heard this, Maaseh? She asked for dessert, she asked for ice cream. They gave her milchik ice cream. She had a major lactose intolerant condition. And shortly after, she was rushed to the hospital and she died. Since she didn't think this can happen in a fleshig restaurant, she didn't carry with her EpiPen. And now we're asking if the owner of the restaurant is responsible for her death, even though it's a very, very rare condition. They have such a level of lactose intolerance. But, you already did something wrong. You fed people here milchiks. But it's a complete oinus. Is the person responsible in a complete oinus? So in Yoredea we learned that a person who sells something which is you're not allowed to eat, meshamsin oisoy. We put him in nidui. The shach over there says even if he does it once, one strike, you're out. And if he sells something which is also medivrei soifrim, only the rabbanon, it's called a mekach taus. You can get your money back. So we know there's a rule. All the lavin in the Torah, a person who's shoygig is not punished. What does he have to do? You go ben chatas. Say I'm sorry, and it's over. Except awatzeach. One who killed, even though it's unintentional, he has to go to the city of refuge. You see, the Torah is very makpid when it comes to retzach, unlike all other averos. But is he not considered oines? A complete oines? And even though we know Adam le'oila muad, but a complete oines, do we also say that? What do you say? What do you say? Is he responsible or not? Put your seatbelts on. Listen to this. Mamish unbelievable.
It must have been something that the owner was chayiv to allow it to happen. Because it wouldn't allow it to happen if there wasn't some kind of...
That's the taina, you know of who? Paroi! Paroi says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and to us, what do you want from me? Your HaKadosh Baruch Hu said in his Torah, Ger yezarach beretz lo lohem va'avadum ve'inu osamar b'amos shana. Your seed, Avraham Avinu, will be enslaved in a different country for 400 years. I'm just doing what the Baruch Hu wants. What do you want? I'm doing a mitzvah. A mitzvah.
It's bemazed. It's
bemazed, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu asked me to do it.
Yeah, but he was too strict. It says by Nuchat Zatzor.
That's one answer. But a better answer. Does it say in the Torah, thou shalt be enslaved in Egypt by Paro? Who asked you to be the executioner? Who asked you? Maybe it's going to be in Spain. Maybe in Uganda. No, I want to do the job. For that, he's going to be punished. The fact that it's oines is true. But Lemaise, he sent one of his workers to buy the ice cream because they ran out of ice cream. And the guy wasn't looking or he didn't care. And he bought Milchi's ice cream. He is the one responsible. He is the restaurant owner and you're the one feeding us. We expect you to make sure everything is 100%. Listen to this. In Shalas Tshuvas Mahari Vail is one of the Rishonim. Gedoyle Ashkenaz is a Talmid of the Maharil, and he is dealing with a person who sent a shaliach. Do me a favor, take your car and go to the, New Haven, and I want to give something over there to Mr. Koyan. So you go, you drive. Unfortunately, something happened, car accident, something happened, and the shaliach died. Is the meshaleach, the one who sent him, is he responsible? What's the connection? Because you drive like a maniac? Because somebody ran into you? What's the connection to the one who sent you? Says the Mahari Vail, yes, even though the one who sent him was not a Poshea, he didn't do anything. Yet, he has to do kapara, he has to fast for 40 days. And if the one who was killed has little kids, he should sponsor them as much as he can, and with that he will be saved from a terrible thing. If you think that's big, wait. Where is he getting? What is he saying for? Where is he getting what he's saying from? So Gemara in Sanhedrin Tzadihei, the Gemara says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to David HaMelech, Ad Mosai, until when will this sin be in your hands? Because of you, the city of Noiv, Ir HaKoyanim, they were all wiped out. Because of you, Doeg HaEdoimi was killed. Because of you, Shaul and his 3 sons were killed. So what do you prefer? Do you want all your seed to be extinguished or to be handed over to the enemy. You tell me, David HaMelech. And David HaMelech says, it's better that I should be given over to the enemies and my kids should continue living. David HaMelech didn't do any pshia here. And yet it's considered as if it's because of him. You have some kind of a shtickle association with it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, it's because of you. Shalas Teshuvas Maharam Milublin. This carries a lot of weight. Maharivai, Maharam Milublin. He deals with an interesting ma'aseh. There was a Rav Beinish was his name, and he passed into a young man a certain psak which was apparently very severe. So this Beinish sits at home, and he sees from the window the friend of the person whom he passed against. He's coming close to the house. So he thought he's going to kill him. I don't know why he decided that. The truth is that his friend just came to ask of Beinish, maybe you can be a little more lenient with my friend. That's the reason he came. But the Beinish was scared. So he moved a very big closet to block the door so this guy can't come in. And who knows what he's going to do to me? And the Maharam Milublin says a few days later, he became very, very sick because of moving the closet, and he died. Very strange. I don't understand exactly what that means. Why moving? I understand if you put the closet in the closet falls on you. Fine. But that's not what he says. But that's what happened. Now the guy who came, the friend who came to ask the Beinish, do me a favor, be a little easier with my friend, comes to the Maharam Milublin and says, Rebbe, do I have to do anything? I have to do tshuva? Do I need kapara? What do you say? So what would we say? What's the connection? What did you do? You did nothing wrong. The Maharam Milublin says, Avade, you didn't do anything wrong. But I'm going to give you 10 tikkunim. After all, because of you, somebody died. Now listen to what the tikkunim that the Maharam Milublin gives this young man. You're not going to believe it. First, fast for 40 straight days. That means every night you can eat. Days. Then, every week, I want you to fast for 3 days. Don't eat meat. Don't drink wine or beer, even the night before the fast. 3, don't sleep on pillows the entire year, except Shabbos and Yom Tov. 4, don't bathe. Don't wash your hair. Only once a month. Poor wife, this guy has a wife. 5, I want you to lie down at the entrance to the shul to allow people to step on you when they enter and leave the shul. Baruch Hashem, the Maharam Milublin didn't give a psak to all the people, you must step on this guy. But I want you to sit over there, lie down over there, so everybody can step on you. Not to be believed. We're only at 5. 6, a whole year, when everybody came in already to the shul, I want you to sit behind the door when you daven. You're not a part of us. 7, every month, go once to the kever of this Rav Beinish that died, along with 10 men, and cry and mourn and ask forgiveness. Do this for an entire year. 8, you can't participate in any seuda, any simcha, any trip, any laughter for an entire year. 9, every 3 years, I want you to fast Bahab, Monday, Thursday, Monday, and 5 years, don't drink any intoxicating beverage, no beer, no nothing. 10, every Monday, have the gabbai of the shul give you lashes of a betzina. It doesn't have to be in front of everybody. This is 10 tikkunei tshuva to a person that we understand was not responsible. And the Maharam Milublin even says, you're not responsible. What chumrah? Not to be believed. It's bichlal not even sure that he died as a result of Rav Beinish schlepping the closet. A few days later, he became sick as a result. I don't understand what that means. I don't understand the mitzius. I'm not familiar with the mitzius like that. But the Maharam Milublin says, well, after all, Rav Beinish died. Maybe he was so machmiranim because he said, Adam Gadol, a Rav died. Something to do with you. But Lemaisa, you see how severe we treat, even though it's a complete oiness. The Noida B'Yehuda. And the Shari Tshuva brings him in Siman Taf Resh Gimel. He's dealing with a person who came and asked us, do me a favor, I'm traveling. Do you have some merchandise that I can carry and sell somewhere else? Not that I was meshaleach like before. This is even further away. And he went and he died on the way. So the Lord Yehuda says to the person, you have to fast. You gave him the merchandise. You have to fast for 3 days. Bahab, Monday, Thursday, Monday. And it would be a good idea for you to give a gift to the orphans of this poor person. In our case, it's much worse. In all those cases, the person didn't do anything. And yet, look how machmir they were in him. Here, by our case, the guy definitely did something. He gave milchiks after fleshik when you know you can't. So this is mamish, the beginning in Peshia. What happens when the beginning is Peshia and then it turns into an oinus? Aseret Ksubis Daf Lamed Daled Amud Beis, we learn that a Yisoimim, that their father left them a cow. And they were sure that the cow was their father's. Now it's ours. So they shechted and had a good meal, had a nice steak. And then they found out that Lemaisa didn't belong to the father. He borrowed it from someone else. Do they have to pay? So the Gemara says they only have to pay for what they enjoyed. How much was the steak? $52? Pay $52. A whole cow is $10,000. You don't have to pay a whole cow. But the Sefer Yeshua Sisol, Sal Shutshuvas in Choshen Mishpat Simen Ein Bes says, but wait a second. But if they shechted be'isur, let's say they shechted on Yom Kippur, when you're not allowed to shecht, so now they have to pay the entire cow. Why? You started b'pshiyah. It turns into an honest. I didn't know it doesn't belong to my father. Yeah, but you did something wrong. Mimele, we already megalgel on you the entire cow and you're going to have to pay. Similarly, Maseches Beitza Daf Chafei. The Gemara says, it's a derech eretz. It's the right thing to do. It's polite not to eat the meat before you skin the animal. Says the Gemara, says the Tosfos, and if I didn't listen to, so what? So Tosfos is a nafkamina. The nafkamina is that if you weren't noyeg bin this derech eretz, and then you found out that it was treif, you're responsible. Because you should have acted in the way the Gemara told you. Again, you start b'pshia, even though pshia, what do? Wasn't noyeg derech eretz.
What's the derech eretz in that?
It looks like a person who's gluttonous, a person who's a ra'avtan. Wait a second, slow down. Where's your patience? Wait, let's skin the animal. Then you'll cut a piece of meat. Then why are you rushing to eat right now? Slow down. It's not derech eretz. What's derech eretz? It's not polite. Okay, so I wasn't polite. What's the big deal? You weren't polite. You already did something wrong. Bayas, it's worse. Bayas, you fed them milchiks after fleishiks. There's no excuse for that. So the Kovetz Shiurim says, like the Yeshus Yaakov, when you do something wrong, we're megalgel and you already something else, even though it's oines, even though Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says, I don't understand this. This is two separate Isurim. What's the connection? It's two separate things. Shechted on Yom Kippur, and he took a cow that doesn't belong to him. What's the connection? It's two separate Isurim. But that's what the Yeshus saw, and that's what Shlomo Zalman Auerbach says. And therefore, it seems from here that yes, the owner of the restaurant is responsible. I don't know to what degree. I don't know if we're going to give him the 10 tikkun tshuva of the Maharam Lublin, but he definitely is responsible. If there are Yesoimim, we probably should recommend him to give money to the Yesoimim. But that's just a remarkable thing. So we saw so many tragedies. You know, the Gaon Mivilna, a few days before his daughter was supposed to get married, she died. And the Gaon Mivilna accepted on himself the din be'ahava. And a few days later, his mother came to him in a dream, the mother of the Vilna Gaon. And she says to him, you should know, because you accepted the din be'ahava, you really should have danced in her funeral more so than you would have danced in her wedding, because you don't know what you accepted, because you accepted the din be'ahava. In Shamayim, it's a very big thing that no matter what tragedies that unfortunately we saw so many things with wars. It happened. One has to be mekaber the din be'ahava. It's a pasuk we repeat every day.
Even on Yena's chayim, like songs.
He's saying only on yourself, never on Yen. On Yen, you have to cry.
Avade.
This is the going on his own door, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, let's take the tragedy at Meron.
How can you?
We're not responsible. We're not connected. We weren't there. But you see tragedies, and we have to be mekabel the din be'ahava. Avade on yourself. Avade on yourself.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
That when a person chalila loses a relative, when the stock market crashes, when he breaks his leg, whatever happens to him, he has mekabel be'ahava, and for that merit, you get so much upstairs that, as his mother said, you should have danced in her funeral more so than you should have danced. You would have danced in her chuppah.
But let's say I have a friend who lost a son in Meron.
So you have to cry for him day and night.
I have to
But to
cry.
understand, din shamayim,
Of course.
we accepted din shamayim, and not to have tightness in the ribbon shalom. There's a pasuk we repeat every single day. Hafachta mispadi lemacholi, pitachta saki v'ta'azreini simcha. Isn't that redundant? Is that you're doubling up on what you're saying? Hafachta mispadi lemacholi means I was mourning, and you turned it into a dance. Now, Baruch Hashem, I'm very happy. So why do you repeat yourself when you say, Pitachta saki, you open up my sackcloth that I was in when I was mourning, and now, Ta'azreini simcha, I'm so happy. You're saying it the same thing. Why are you doubling up? Hafachta mispadi lemacholi. Don't read it lemacholi. Chazal already have a drasha like this. Al tikrei machol ela. Machul. We know that Yisurim are mechaper avoinus. Afachta mispadi HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because I was in a misped, because I was in trouble, because I had so many afflictions, mimele lemachol li, not lemachol, lemachul. All my sins are erased. So now what happens? Pitachta saki, I'm opening up my sack full of avoidance. Oi, Baruch Hashem, it's empty. Mimele v'ta'azreini simcha. Now I'm really happy because of the avoidance from before, mimele, the sack of avoidance is now empty. Shulchan Aruch and Or Chaim Reish Rav Beis says, Chayav Adam, it's not a recommendation, Chayav Adam, levarech al hara kederech, in the same way that he davens for the toiva. That he says, oh, Kodesh Baruch Hu, thank you very much, I won the lottery. In the same happiness, same simcha in his heart, he has to say a bracha, Chalila Dainaemis, or whatever it is. Why? The Shulchan Aruch himself explains. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Ki hara le'ovdei Hashem hisimchasam v'toivasam. Why? Kevan shemekabel be'ahava ma shegazur alav, since a person is accepting what HaKadosh Baruch Hu decreed on him with love, nimtza shebekabalas ra'azu, with accepting this deen, hu oived es Hashem. Vehi simcha loy. Everybody loves to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Mishnah Berurah over there explains, because the Yisurim are kaparas avonos. How can you not be happy? So it's not, okay, I'll also say a bracha for it. Kederech, in the same manner, in the same simcha you had in your heart when you said the Shehechiyanu, in the same manner, one has to say a bracha, al hara kishem shemevarech al hatoiva. So that was the first question. We got 2 points for it. And now let's ask the second question. Wild question. But before, let's tell a story. Do you know why the Beis Hamikdash was built in the way in the place the Beis Hamikdash was built? Har Moriah. Why dafka there? You know the Maisa?
The legend that Rav Chaim Knesset couldn't find, but
It's the Ben Ish Chai. There's a sefer called Mikveh Mayim from about 150 or 200 years ago. That's the first time I think it appears. People say it in the Medrash. I didn't find the Medrash, but he quotes it in the Medrash. And the Ben Ish Chai says it as well. There were two brothers. They both had fields. One brother had a wife and had 10 children. The other never got married. So they have a field and they get a parnasa from it. And one day, the single brother says to himself, why do I need so much money? My brother has 12 mouths to feed. Himself, his wife, 10 children. I only have to feed myself. You know what? I'm going to go in the middle of the night and I'm going to throw some of my grain, some of the fruits that grow in my field, I'm going to throw it over the fence to his field. It's only right. The other brother said to himself, listen, I have a wife. I have 10 children. I also should have so much money. At least my brother who doesn't have a wife, let him have at least a little more money. You know what? I'm going to go in the middle of the night and I'm going to throw over some of what I have in my field. I'm going to throw over. And that's what they did. They did this for a few weeks, not at the same time, so they never saw each other. But they wondered both. Every morning, they looked at their field and nothing is missing. How strange is that? I know that last night at 12:30, I threw some stuff over the fence, but it's always back here. How is it possible? So one night, Kodesh Baruch Hu put in the mind of both of them, and they decided, I want to see how Kodesh Baruch Hu makes this miracle. What is it? He rains down fruits. How is it possible? You know what? I'm doing a mishmah. I'm staying up the entire night. I want to see Kodesh Baruch Hu's miracle. So they decided to stay up. But before that, they have to do their thing. What they do is they throw stuff over the fence. So it happened that they both came and did it at the same time. And they saw each other, and then they realized, you're throwing stuff to me and I'm throwing stuff to you. And they hugged and they kissed each other. Vayashkef HaKadosh Baruch Hu mimarom, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu sofam shamayim. And I said, wow. In a place like this where there is baseless love between brothers, this is where I want my dwelling place to be. And that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu built the Beis HaMikdash dafka there. That's Hakofa Aleph. Everybody knows this chelik, but nobody knows the second part. Second part. There were two brothers. Same Maaseh. One is married, 10 children. One is not. One day, the one who's not married says to himself, wait a second. My brother has a wife, and he has 10 children. He also has to have all the money. What does he have to have? He already has so much happiness in his life. I think I'm going to take some stuff from him. And at 12:30, he jumps over the fence, and he steals, and he takes some stuff from his brother, and he moves it to his field. His other brother said to himself, wait a second. I have a wife, I have 10 children, I have to feed them. My brother has nothing. Why does he have to have also so much money? So you know what? I'm going to go over the fence and I'm going to take stuff from him. And that's how it happened for a few weeks. And one day they looked and said, this doesn't make sense. But nothing is missing. Same Maaseh. So they decided, Mishmar, I'm going to stay the entire night. I want to see how it happens. How does the Kodesh Baruch Hu perform these miracles? They stayed there the whole night. But just before, they have to do their thing. So one jumps over the fence and he wants to take. And then his brother saw him and he was about to do the same thing. So they came to each other and they start punching each other and kicking each other and cursing each other. Vayashkef HaKadosh Baruch Hu mimarom, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu looked from above and he said, wow, in a place where there's such animosity, such baseless hatred, this is where I want to build a Knesset. Knesset Yisrael. In Yerushalayim. You know where the Knesset is, right? This is very apropos for today. But Rabbi Isai, this leads us to a question. Last Shabbos I was supposed to speak in my shul. I prepared a whole big thing about the mitzvah Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. Does it apply to women or not? It's not so pashut, not so pashut. But 15 minutes before Shabbos, somebody asked me such a interesting, fascinating shayla. So I decided, forget about what I prepared, and I spoke about this. Listen to this. Since they decided to have a government in Israel 2 weeks ago, until just a few hours ago when they actually were sworn in and they had the votes, you can't imagine the pressure that the right-wing Knesset members were under in order to make sure that they don't vote for the government. In essence, what happened last 2 years, there was a standstill, there was a tie between the right and the left, and finally, some of the right-wingers decided, you know what, we're defecting and we're going to go with the left. They basically stole all the votes of people who feel they were right-wingers, and they said no. And they went with the Arabs. We know the whole Maaseh. So in the last 2 weeks, can't imagine the pressure that they're under. Threats and pressure and demonstration. Fine. So I was asked like this. I'm a principal of a school. Let's say one of the Knesset members, they're all young guys. There's 30 and 35 and 40 and 45. So they have little children. One of the Knesset members that we're talking about, the right-winger, but he's now going to the left, has an 8-year-old, a 12 years old, a 14 and a 16 years old. Can I, as a principal of the school, when the kids come to school tomorrow, say, can't come in, go home. Can't learn Torah here. Out! Can I kick the children of those people out and not allow them to learn Torah? What do you say, Rabbi?
No way.
No way, Jose!
Why?
What?
Is even a Charlotte. Like, I'm not. Why? How could you? Like, where are you coming from?
Let's strengthen what you're saying. In Psochim Kuf Yud Gimel, the Gemara says, Tuvia chata, v'zigud mingad, Reuven sinned and Shimon will get lashes? What's the connection? Reuven, the father, did something wrong. Why in the world would you want to punish the kid? Is that what you're saying?
No, simply saying, how could you stop them from learning Torah? That was it.
Let's strengthen what you're saying. Shabbos Kuf Yutes the Gemara says, Lo charva Yerushalayim. Why was Yerushalayim destroyed? El shebitlu batinoike shel beis Rabban. Because they didn't allow kids to learn Torah, so Yerushalayim was destroyed. You want Yerushalayim to be destroyed again? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to strengthen it? The Gemara there in Shabbos Kuf Yutes also says, En ha'oila miskayim ela. Why does the world continue to exist? Bishvil hevel peh shel tinoike shel beis Rabban. Not enough? The Gemara says, if Beis Hamikdash has to be built, we all run to do it. Do we take the kids to build with us? Chas v'sholom. Leave them alone. Kids have to learn Torah. Not even for building Beis Hamikdash.
I want to say a svar the other way. I'm not saying whether or not. I'm not saying I would agree with
Stay
this.
away from him, because I don't think he's going to be so happy. You have a Shulchan Aruch here?
I want to
Shulchan
say. I want to say.
Choshen Mishpat Chelek Aleph, Yoredei Shin
You
Lamed
also
Daled.
have a concept of Eis Las Hashem Efirus Eresecha.
Yeah.
And if there's a question like this, if you would stop these children from going in, and you would cause that government not to exist, you would add Lima Torah because that government wants to stop so much more Lima Torah. Like you find Mutiv Shichalu Shabbos Achas, and you'll have so many more Shabbos.
But I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Tuvia Chata. Vezigud.
It's not a matter
Ingad.
of Chutzi Tov.
Reuven sin. What do you want from Shimon? Little Shimon. What did he do wrong?
It's a matter of whether or not this will help.
Shin Lamed Daled Yoredei.
This will help.
Choshen Mishpat Chelek Aleph.
No, my question is, if let's say you knew that this would stop that from happening,
Who told you? We need a source.
the source, you find Chazal made takana sometimes, they did things
Give
that were
me a
connected-
source.
that were connected halachas, because you're telling me it's halacha, right? Eliyahu and Har Carmel, you weren't allowed to build a bama. Eliyahu said, this is a
But
bama."
that's him doing one thing, not something else, Shkoyer. No, that's someone else.
But there are times where you're allowed to do things.
I'll be
that
happy to hear a source.
I can't think of the source right now.
So I'm
but
going to
I
give you
know-
one.
Okay, you give me one, but I know that this is a source. I
Now
don't
put your
remember it.
seatbelt on, because this is an atom bomb. Choshen Yoredei Shin Lamed Daled Seif Vav. We're talking about Dinei Charamos. A person didn't listen to us. Beis Din put him in Cherem. He owed money to someone. He didn't listen to us. I don't know what he did. Says the Shulchan Aruch. Im ratzu Beis Din lema'et hanidui milamed yom. If they want to minimize, instead of lamed yom, 30 days, we're going to give them only 22 days. They can. Or lehoisif. They want to add to it. Harishus beyadam. Comes Rabbeinu Haremah. I'm just warning you. If you stand, you may fall, but you're going to hear it. It's dangerous. Listen to this, Rema. Hold on tight. ויש רשוס לבייס דין להחמיר עליו שלא ימולו בניו. This guy who didn't listen to Beis Din has a new baby, and it comes the 8th day, and he says, Moel, there's no bris milah. It's a mitzvah d'oraisa, but there's no bris milah. So when you're going to be mal my kid, I don't know, maybe when he's 16 years old. I don't know, maybe 18. When you decide to change and listen to the Beis Din, not enough? V'shelo yikover im yamus. Let his body rot and stink in the house. We're not going to bury him. Not enough? ולגרש את בניו מבית הספר. ואשתוי מבית הכנסת. His wife comes into shul. She's a tzadikis. She davens not 3 times a day, 6 times a day. She only eats badats. Lady, get out! The kids, kick him out of school. Unbelievable. Ad sheyekabel alav adin. There's koyach in the hands of Beis Din. Tikkun olam. Without it, we'll have chaos. But who has this koyach? Who has this koyach? Who's the Beis Din? Shulchan Aruch Choshen Mishpat Simen Beis Seif Aleph. Listen, who has this koyach? Will blow you away. Kol Beis Din. Kol Beis Din. Afilu einam smuchim be'eretz Yisrael. They don't have smicha from Eretz Yisrael. It's the 3-guy show in Omaha, Nebraska. אם רואים שהעם פרוצים בעבירוס, ושהוא צורך השעה, this is a big time צורך השעה, דנין
Ben Misa, Ben Mammon, they can kill a person today. Basman Hazeh, this is not Hilchas Ala Meshicha. This is now, today. A Beis Din can kill. Ben Misa, Ben Mammon. Ben Kol Din Hayonish. Ve'afilu ein badavar eidus gemura. You don't even have two kosher eidim that are testifying. But the Beis Din are seeing that this is tzorich hashah and ha'am purutzim be'averos, they're allowed to. Ve'im hu alim, this guy doesn't listen and he's violent. Choivtim oto al yedei goyim. You take some goyim and say, beat him up. Says the Rema, ve'yesh lahem koyach lehafkir mamoino ule'abdoi lefi ma sheroyim ligdor pirtzois hador. Basically, blanket check. Do whatever you want. But who? And the Shulchan Aruch adds something. V'chol ma'aseim yu l'shem shamayim. Okay, good. V'davka godol hadoir. Or tuvei ha'ir shehimchum Beis Din aleihim. That the Beis Din appointed these people. But wait, says the Rama. V'chen noyhagin bechol makom shetuvei ha'ir be'iran kebeis din hagodol. Umakin ve'onshin ve'hefkeran hefker kefi aminag. Mamish not to be believed. According to this, and again, we have to say, I know maybe this is recorded, we have to be careful. If all Gedolei Hador would agree that this is wrong, and if we were able to execute Torah laws, you see from here, we have a reshus to kick the kids out of school, and maybe do even harsher things than this. But this is mamish unbelievable. The koyach, in order, don't know if we can apply Es Hashem Meferu Soresecha. It's more than that. It's the Tikkun Olam. Without it, you have chaos. According to this, Aboy said we can. Next channel. COVID related. In Yom Diyom, a guy from the States asked, his father lives in Eretz Yisrael. His father kept asking him, come visit me, come visit me, come visit me. He didn't want to come. The beginning of COVID, everybody was afraid to fly. We all thought that the planes are the most infested place. 400 people from all over the world, who knows? And when you get to Eretz Yisrael, you have to sit 2 weeks in quarantine. When you come here, it was recommended as well. They didn't enforce it here, they didn't get fined, but in Eretz Yisrael, there were fines. Mimele, if he goes to Eretz Yisrael, he's going to lose parnas, he's going to lose a lot of time, and he may get infected. So he didn't come. That's how it happened for a whole year. A couple of months ago, his father suddenly was in a car accident and died. So now this guy's asking, do I have to go to the kever of my father with 10 people and ask mechila for my father? He asked me to come 1,000,000 times, and I said, no. Does he have to ask mechila from his father? Boy, say, what do you say? What do you say?
There was a Maisa Sakana.
What was the sakana? To fly to Eretz Yisrael?
To fly to Eretz Yisrael was a Maisa Sakana.
So put 15 masks and put yourself in a bubble, in a bag, and I don't know what. Look, the doctors are treating people, right? How are they not getting infected? So do the same thing.
Who said they weren't getting infected?
How many doctors did you know that died?
Even better. If the guy would have had a $10 million check to pick up an Eretz Yisrael, would he have went? Or would he have said, you know what, I don't mind the money. I don't
That's
care.
a good question. Would you have gone?
Would he have gone or not? You tell me.
No.
Well, how would he
Mr.
have
Maya.
gone?
So where's the sakana?
How would he have
It went away.
gone? For the
After
right price.
when did it go away? After 5,000 or 9,999? It went away at one point. Does he have to ask mechila or not?
Would there be a shaila if the father was alive and he gets there and the father said, "You really disappointed me. Why aren't you here for one of the Yom Tovim? You didn't show up for a whole year. So you have to ask mechila right then and there.
I don't know. You tell me. That's what I came to ask.
Forget alive.
But I want to talk dafka after the father died.
He should
Soon you'll see why.
He should definitely ask because the guilt. Get rid of some of the guilt.
So
No.
that is something has to deal with the shrink. I'm talking halachically.
The shrink.
I'm talking in the eyes of a Kodesh Baruch Hu. Does he have to ask mechila?
Whole analogy of those here.
What's that?
Never mind. No, I don't think so.
Why not?
Because his going wasn't directed at his father. It was a decision he made. For
But the father is asking you to do something.
But
You know, somebody once came to the
So it
Biskil.
says to jump. If your father says jump off a roof, you don't jump off the roof.
Somebody once came to Reb Chaim Brisk. Says to him, Rebbe, you know, my father lives in a different town, far away, and is on his deathbed, and he wants me to come. But the halacha is kibudav mishel av. You don't have to spend $1 on kibudav. It all comes from the pocket of your father. So my father wants to come, but to buy a ticket to go on the train is very expensive, and he doesn't want to pay. I don't want to take that money. Am I mechuyev to go? And Abraham says to him, no, you're right. Kibudav mishel av. You do not have to spend $1. Start walking.
Here there's something else though. There's a chiyuv of shmir saguf nefesh. So depending on the doctor that he has, or the politician that he goes with, right?
I think it's more than that. If he goes and he does get COVID, it's going to infect his father. What you gain? Shkoyach, you came to visit me and you killed me. But more than that, a person is not mechuyav to lose his mitzvahs. If he's going to go, he's going to have to be in quarantine for 2 weeks in Eretz Yisrael and 2 weeks here. What about Kriyas Torah? What about Kaddish Kedusha? What about Minyan? No Minyan for you. The same HaKadosh Baruch Hu that told the kid V'nishmartem me'od Rosh Hashanah is the same HaKadosh Baruch Hu who's commanding the father V'nishmartem. And Kibudav becomes a big Chiddush. Pischei Shuvah and Simen Reish Memin Yoredea is only when you're in the same city as the father. Ooh, big Chiddush.
When the father tells you to do any Aveira, you don't listen to him.
That no matter where you are.
No, but he's saying over here it would be an Aveira.
Correct.
Maybe it's a pagam that the child doesn't live where his father lives. We know we go back.
Maybe it's a pagam that he doesn't live in Eretz Yisrael.
Right, being away from Yitzhak.
No, maybe
he was, because he was away.
But maybe he has a reason. We don't know. Maybe he has medical reason. I don't know what the reason is.
But again, you go back to the same thing. The value that the person has for kibbut of the aim does play in. If the kibbut of aim is worth $10 million to him, he suddenly figures it out of the way. He goes with a spacesuit. He goes with the mask. He says hello to
But the quarantine itself is suffering, and one doesn't have to suffer for this mitzvah. You have to sacrifice a lot. You have to do a lot. It's very, very difficult to be in quarantine. You don't have to lose parnasa. Kibudav mishelav. But the main thing, and that's why I'm talking dafka when the father died. Many people, when their father is still around, they don't go visit. But when the father Khalila passes away, oh, we should have gone to visit. Lemaise. When the father upstairs in the oilam ha'emes, not oilam ha'shekir down here, do you really think the father cares? The father cares about the son going in the path of the father, in the path of the forefathers, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and doing the right thing. And the greatest ilui neshama for a father is when the kid gives tzedakah and learns Torah and says the Kaddish, does all the good things that he does. He doesn't need you to come and say, oh, why didn't I come? Because you did according to the din. You were not allowed to come at that time. It's a sakana. We started by saying V'nishmatem. V'nishmatem is a real deal. We said before the Pele Yoed says it's the only mitzvah in the Torah that the Kodesh Baruch Hu says twice, me'oid. V'nishmatem me'oid l'nashoseicha v'kisham elecha u'shmo nafshecha me'oid. We don't find that anywhere else. Me'mele, he didn't do anything wrong. He did everything according to the din. When you do everything right, you don't have to go ask Mechila. And the father now doesn't care because he's an olam ha'emes. And what you do now here to do a ilui neshama is not the Mechila. It's tzedakah, the Torah, the mitzvah is going to do. Avoisai, listen to an interesting shayla. We had a war going on just a few weeks ago. Small little interesting war. So someone down south, there were a lot of aerial souvenirs that our neighbors decided to send us. Some people call them missiles, I don't know why. We call them aerial souvenirs. So one of the guys, they're davening mincha. In the middle, the siren goes off. And he's in the middle of Shmonesa. So instead of saying, in Eretz Yisrael, Ashkenaz, we say Moirid Hatal. You don't say it over here. But he says, instead of saying Moirid Hatal, he said Moirid Hatil. What's Til? A missile. In Hebrew, a missile is Til. He gets so nervous, he heard the siren comes out, oh, Moirid Hatil! Hatil is coming. Instead of Moirid Hatal, he said Moirid Hatil. Is that considered a hefsek? Does he have to repeat Shmonesa?
And
What do you say?
he continued on the rest of Shemasa, you mean? He didn't.
Yeah, continue.
No.
Maybe David in
He made
a
it as
protected.
joke? What did he say?
No, he got nervous. Oh, Til, Moirid Hatil. Instead of Moirid Hatal.
He doesn't need to.
Why?
However, Lemaisa would have been more lechatchila if he would have said it in the emtzayos. Because we don't ask bakashas at the beginning and the end.
You're not asking for more tilim to come on you.
Is that
Chas
what
v'shalom.
Mari-
Remove the til.
Merit Hatil, to just put it down.
To put it down.
No? That's,
No, he was saying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you are the one who is
I
made the til.
office is what he means.
What do you say? It's a hefsek. If you want to say it's not a hefsek, you have to tell me why. We say Morida Tal. If you start inserting other words over there, it's a hefsek in the middle of Shmoneh
Then you
Esrei.
have to repeat Shemona Esrei if there's a husband?
Why not?
I don't know.
Why not? Morida Til, in a time like that, is a tefillah dioraisa. Your normal Shmoneh Esrei is only a tefillah derabbanon. How can you think that a tefillah dioraisa, b'shas tzara, as the Rambam says, that is the essence of tefillah? So the tefillah dioraisa will override a tefillah derabbanon? Can't be. And by the way, it makes a lot of sense to lose your mind and to do something irrational, because we don't have anyone greater than Moshe Rabbeinu. The pasuk says, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, throw your staff down, and suddenly it turned into a nachash. What does the pasuk say? Vayanos Moshe mipanav. Moshe ran away. Asks the Haimikdavar, the Netziv, excuse me, Moshe, where exactly are you running? Don't you know a pasuk in Tehillim Kuf Yutes? Kuf Lamed Tes, I'm sorry. The pasuk in Tehillim Kuf Yutes says, you can run, but you can't hide. Where are you going to go? Im esak shomayim, sham ata. Im etzia sheol, hineka. Where are you going to hide from HaKadosh Baruch Hu? He's not going to find you. Where are you going to? You're talking to Ribono Shel Olam. Why are you running away from a snake? Says the Mekdava, what do you want from him? It's a natural response when you get scared. You do crazy things. No tainan Moshe Rabbeinu. That's what the Netziv says. So better. Aboy said we have time for one more question. Listen to this. In the war in Gaza a few weeks ago, there were thousands and thousands of soldiers getting ready to go in. Foot soldiers, infantry. Baruch Hashem, we finished it off with, from the air, there was no need. When people do go in, normally there are casualties. Baruch Hashem, nobody had to go in. But there were thousands of soldiers ready, willing, and able, sitting at the border. So some people from Chabad came down there to the south, risking their life, Mesilus Nefesh, and they brought with them 2,000 tzitzis, 2,000 sifrei tehillim, and 2,000 pairs of tefillin just to give to secular soldiers. You know, there's no atheists in a foxhole. Everybody said he's a believer. All the soldiers grabbed the tzitzis, the tehillim, and the tefillin. Great. They brought 2,000. 1,999 were great. There was one soldier who's a goy. Who is a goy? And he says to him, what do you have those strings? What are you putting them on? He says, well, it's a shmira. Shmira! I also want, give me one. What's those black boxes? What do they do for you? Oh, Kodesh Baruch Hu said it's a mitzvah, also it's a protection. Protection? Give me one. Give me. So the Chabadnikim are asking, can we give tzitzis, tehillim, and tefillin to a goy?
We'll fight better to defend the Jews if he thinks he's protected.
Are you allowed to give tzitzis to a goy? Let's start with tzitzis. You're allowed to give tzitzis to a goy?
Do they ask that question every time they go to anywhere? That's not a gas question, that's a dumb question.
If you don't know, you don't know. But here the guy we know is a goy. Normally in the street, they put on, call the parish, Miruba parish. In Eretz Yisrael, they're all Jews. But now you know he's a goy. All the soldiers point to him and says, he's a goy. Can you give tzitzis to a goy?
You find, because of Ava, you find certain Averis, a lot of them, Chal Shabbos.
Certain Averos.
So certain.
No,
Chal Shabbos, Hatzalah guy, the guy.
Who says you can give tzitzis to a goy?
I don't know.
Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch Chaim Simen Chaf Seif Beis. The Mechaber clearly writes you are allowed to sell a tzitzis to the goy. Why? Says Nabish Nabua there in Sif Cotton Zayin. Because I may think he's a yid, seeing him with his strings hanging over there. So I'm going to accompany him, walking out of town. And when we're by ourselves, a goy is not crazy about Jews, and he's going to kill the Jew. Says the Mishnah Berurah there, this time doesn't apply. He says the Chayei Adam already said it doesn't apply because goyim today don't kill. So we don't have a problem. But there's another reason brought. Mishnah Berurah brings it. It's from the Gemara in Menachos. Maybe the Yid is going to give it to a woman of ill repute as payment for her service. And she's going to go around saying, you know where I got this from? From a Yid. Do you have a greater Chilul Hashem than that? Does that time apply today? I don't think so. Is there any woman who will receive this as payment? Not Shayach. And this is not a woman. This is a soldier. This is not shayach. Tzitzis will allow him to give. What about Sefer Tilim? Tefillin we'll get to. Tefillin is much more kadosh than tzitzis, no question about it. So we're starting from the kal el hakaved. Tzitzis, no problem. Sefer Tilim, can you give to a goy? Sefer Tilim, as you know it. Sefer Tilim, what is it? It's all Pirkei Emuna. And the goyim are also chayav be'emuna. No problem, give it. Well, what about tefillin? Can you give tefillin to a goy?
Give him the puzzle one.
I don't know a puzzle one. If I had time ahead of time, I would give him an empty box.
Empty box.
But I don't have. I have real tefillin because you didn't tell me that your friend is a goy. So I brought real tefillin, kosher me'adim. What do you say? Can you give tefillin to a goy? You don't like it? You don't like it.
They want to start on time.
I know, so let's finish. Tefillin to a goy. The Rambam in Hilchos Melachim Perek Yud Halacha Yud says, you don't prevent a goy from doing any mitzvah that he wants. Any mitzvah. He wants to do leket, shiricha, and peah, let him do it. He wants to shiluach haken, let him do it. Says the Radbaz, wait, except 3 mitzvahs that have extra kedusha and extra tahara, and the goy is not equipped for that, and those are. That's a different issue. Goy Shabbos Chayav Misal Gamor and Sanedrin Nun Zayin. But, says the Radbaz, 3 mitzvahs have extra kedusha built into them. They are Sefer Torah, Tefillin, and Mezuzah. The goy cannot accept this kedusha. The Rema Yoredei Reish Tzadi Aleph Seif Beis says you're not allowed to sell a mezuzah to a goy. Why? Because they told him it's a shomer dalsos yisod, it's protection for the house. And if somebody breaks in next to it, you know what he's going to do with the mezuzah? He's going to chuck it in the garbage. He's going to be mevazet. You're not allowed to sell it to him. However, says the Rema, if there's a chashash of Eva, you're allowed to. Do you have a greater chashash here than an Eva? This soldier is holding a gun in his hand and is trying to help you and protect you. Can you imagine if you don't give it to him? Mainly for that reason, that tefillin as well, you can give it to him. Emetz Hashem, all these showers should only be la halacha, velo lemaiseh.